you broke some big news, bro.
Yeah.
So looks like you're going back to get your second title.
Yeah. So the goal was to obviously improve back itself into the room. I've been saying that for months and months and months. It was my feedback from Olympia, obviously still improving the front, but made progress faster than I even thought. So thought that the goal would be jump into Toronto, and it's a different feeling when you go into a show defending. So
Yeah.
I think that pressure is going to be on me to come in even better. It's a show that I'm familiar with. I already know the scenery, I already know the venue, I already know the judges, I already know the promoters and things like that. So being comfortable is the biggest thing that aids to nailing that look. And yeah, it's going to do something special, bring in a dope look. And I'm still going to do some big shows after I qualify, hopefully qualify, and see how I stack up and then get some momentum going into the O.
So is Becky judging the show?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Like, do you have like a strategy with that? Like, you want to get back in front of
It's
the
not it's not even a strategy at this point. Honestly, it's just the time frame of the shows. So Toronto is, 14 and a half weeks out now. So it just kicks off like the summer. I still had a decent amount of time to improve, go through the PCT phase and all of that, and then have a solid 3 or 4 months of really putting on growth. And I still have 4 weeks left before I'll start to cut 10 weeks out.
That's
Um,
crazy, bro.
and yeah, just being able to jump into a show a little bit earlier. I know the people that support me want to see it. I want to see it. The progress shows, and once we kind of peel back the layers, you're going to see the back really come together. I've been doing a lot of body work this year, so that's been a big game changer with mind muscle connection. Really feeling the areas that I need to hit. A lot of my upper back would engage a little bit more than my lower. That's why it kind of fades out from top to bottom. My lower back wasn't engaged as much, so that lower lat didn't pop when I'm in a men's physique pose. So being able to focus on that, go back to the drawing board and dissect it and then really feel the movement. This is, the basics of bodybuilding, feeling the movement, not even worrying about the weight. But once I got the movement down, adding the weight back, progressive overload training on top of that, it's really clicking for me.
Yeah. Do you guys think you guys are gonna try anything different going into this prep, or is it kind of stay with what's been working?
I think it's just going to be being ready early and then playing with peaks so we can kind of manipulate the weight cap because I'm maxed out already at the weight cap. I haven't trained legs in, I don't know, going on 6 months now. So, I mean, took some size out of my legs and just added it to the upper body and specifically the areas that I needed to improve on. And I'm happy with it. I mean, I still feel like I need to stimulate the legs. I get it indirectly from cardio, but for me, I just got to focus on the goal. And right now is men's physique. If I ever make the
Yeah.
switch, then I'm gonna pick up some ground that I missed on legs. But
Nah, man. Well, listen, one thing I've noticed when you were getting stripped down for your weigh-in at the Olympia, bro, or you got wheels on, you could
yeah,
sacrifice the legs, you can sacrifice it,
yeah,
but I've always wondered, man, because again, somebody who's fucking 20 pounds under their cap, what you're gonna have to do in order to improve one area while also staying, within a certain range, bro, that's gonna be like a whole math magician. But you got the right coach to do it. I'm excited for you, bro. Like, again, I know there's a lot of different shows in mind, but you're going back to get your second title. It's gonna be sick. So, are you still
yeah.
doing?
It's definitely different when you're coming in as as like the champ. I don't think I'm the champ. I'm more so doing it just because I'm comfortable with the show, and just being on the poster and things. It's kind of cool. Like when I went to Chicago as a fan last year, it was kind of cool seeing my face and my name on the thing. But given the awards is kind of what I wanted to do there. But for Toronto, I know I have a pretty dope fan base out there, so it's just fun, man. And I'm still going in with that underdog mentality, kind of like how Ryan Terry talked about. Anybody could show up. I post it early, so if there are people that are trying to decide whether they should do it or not, maybe people want to show up specifically just to beat me. I mean, it's cool. I don't go to specifically beat a person, just I want to beat this guy. I just go to bring my best.
Is there any
Whatever
strategy?
happens, happens.
Is there any strategy in announcing the fact that you're doing a show like 15 weeks out to get people
Yeah,
to do or
I
not to do?
know people say there's a strategy as far as he's picking easy shows. I can at least say I threw it out there so people know. So if they want to qualify or attempt to qualify, then jump into the show. If they think it's an easy show, then go get the qualification, take it from me. That's the
I
easiest way
think
to think about it. Because if I thought a show was easy, I would jump into that show. I mean, the goal is to qualify, right? The end goal is to be at the Olympia, but
Period.
get the qualification out of the way, then do all the bigger shows.
Yeah. Dre?
no, I mean you can look at it both ways. You can also, I mean, while you're prepping, every time you post, people be like, "Damn, he's already ready." Fuck, I can't do this show.
Yeah.
They're gonna cower it out. They're not gonna want to do it. I think that happened with my last show that I did.
Was this
It was a
San
lot of
Diego?
people that. What was that?
Was this San Diego?
No, not San Diego. It was Anaheim.
Were you
Anaheim.
wearing red shorts?
And the last one, I think so. Yeah, I think so. No,
I,
no, no,
I
not the
rem
last one.
Was that the show that Jonas won?
That was San Diego. That was my second to
Okay,
last
Yeah,
show.
okay,
okay, so that's the one that I did with him.
Yeah.
And that's when I had the opportunity to meet him. I remember, bro, you had your kids on, or was it your daughter, right?
Yeah, my son.
You had your son on stage with you, bro.
Yeah.
That was awesome, bro. That was like a key memory. And that's the thing, bro. Like, I really didn't even get a chance to do an intro of you, bro. But like, I've come to know you more as the guy who runs Men's Physique Central because I think you do such a good job with that page. Yo, Tricky got the crazy setup. Oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to fix
it
this
had like
thing.
a whole intro.
yeah, I like it. But I
Yeah.
think that bro, you're an OG. Like you've been around for a long time. You've been like I don't want to compare you to somebody else, but like Clarence, you are always in the first call out, like consistently always in that conversation. Can
Even
you
when you take time off too, as the sport is evolving,
yeah,
you're still in that mix. So you're still
always.
working, even when you're not competing. A lot of people, just because they're not competing, they don't continue to make that progress. So even behind the scenes, when you're not actually actively competing, you're still working at it. And that to me just shows the passion. A lot
Yeah.
of guys, they only compete so they could get the camaraderie and they could get all the the confetti thrown at them, but doing it behind the closed doors is when it counts. And those are the guys that separate themselves.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree
Appreciate it.
more. So, can you tell just people a little bit about your backstory? When you started competing, some of the successes you had, and then kind of how you're running the media side now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I originally started competing in 2012. So I never lifted a weight in my life. I played basketball, I played football, played every sport you could think of, but never lifted a weight. So my last deployment, all my soldiers like, come on, just get in the gym, work out, lift some weights. I'm like, man, I'm not doing that shit. I can still fight. Like I don't need to work out. One day, one of my soldiers, I seen him in the gym and he was like kind of overweight. And I was like, all right, if you start doing cardio, I'll start working out. So that's how I started lifting. So I lifted, I started lifting for like 6 months straight, and just grew. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Came back from my deployment and started going to this gym. The owner of the gym, he was an IFBB pro. He was like a 212 pro. He was like, yo, you should compete. So that's what I did. I started competing. I won every single one of my amateur shows. I did like 16 amateur shows, all in Alabama. So I think
See?
Drew, I don't know if you won that show at Tri-City, I knew you definitely placed. I don't remember what you placed. You remember what you placed at Tri-City?
Me?
Yeah.
I haven't done Tri-City.
You never done it?
No.
Maybe I thought you were going to do it.
Bro.
But so the guy that runs Tri-City, that used to be my coach when I first started.
Okay.
But so yeah, I did that my first year. He told me not to go to nationals. I went, ended up placing like ninth or something. I did no cardio, didn't know what to look out for. Next year, I ended up going to nationals again. Qualified. That was 2013. And then ever since then, yeah, that was the last show I did.
Okay.
Last show I did. That was the biggest I ever was. But
Bro,
as you
you
can see,
look huge. Look at your
my
chest.
conditioning was lacking.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're not known, like you're known for your conditioning. You're known for your detail,
Yeah.
your separation, right? So what, did you just play the full card here?
Yeah, I did. I
Okay.
did. We tried something new. It was the first time I ever tried it. I mean, it worked with the size. I mean, I blew up, but
Was it insulin?
conditioning.
Was it insulin?
Yeah,
It was.
yeah. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. Side effects and all that. I don't recommend it for anybody that hasn't tried
Because you can tell you're big as shit right now. You're about to burst. But
it. Yeah.
okay, so my question is this, bro. I know
Mhm.
you've been doing it for a long time. you look young. I'm not exactly sure how old you are, but you look young, you look good, you look healthy. Your body is obviously still responding. What made you want to stop competing and then transition, eventually into the media side of the division?
Man, 100% honest, steroids.
Shit.
Using, taking years off my life. I mean, a lot of people don't want to look at it that way, but that's how I looked at it. I'm like, yo, I got kids. I want to live as long as I can. I want to be as healthy as I can with them. And like I didn't talk about this, like my first four years competing, I was
Oh
all
shit.
natural. So I was placing top five all natural. Um,
Wait, as a pro?
as a pro, yeah,
Oh shit. Well, okay, so what
yeah,
what year did you turn pro?
2014.
Damn, bro. Okay, so you turned pro
OG. Yeah.
naturally, competed naturally, placed top five naturally. Damn. That's all right. That's nuts. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I did it naturally. I got talked into using started with Anavar and I was like, it's not bad. Like I really don't feel too much different. Like I still feel healthy, no issues at all. And then what was the first thing? I think when I started using Winstraw, I was like, this shit ain't too healthy.
The Aikens.
Tried Tren, I didn't like it. And then like insulin, I was like, yeah, I can't do it anymore.
Was it the mental aspect, do you think, or was it more so just knowing that it's going into your body?
Man, I think it was both. I think it was both. I think it was both.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the way I like the way I look. I love the way I look. I love the way I felt most of the time. Few times I felt like kind of out of it. Even though I was eating healthy, I was doing my cardio and all that. Like I didn't feel myself, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like that feeling. So I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and stop.
Kind of like a
Um,
brain fog too. And I feel like that's a lot of it with
yeah,
us pros, sometimes, and most of the time for me at least, less is more. It's something that I realized the more you take, it's actually gonna blow out your receptors. So then you got to keep taking more, like a caffeine effect, right? So then you're kind of compounding it on top of each other and then more long-term effects. And it's almost like, for what? Unless you're the top 1% of the 1%, and even guys like Bumstead who are that, he even cut it
yeah,
short. What's the point of going for seven when you have six? When you got a
yeah,
kid, you got family, maybe you want more kids in the future, you got businesses, you got more money than God himself. So after that's conquered, it's almost like, okay, what's the next thing I could do? So I
Yeah.
get that. I get
absolutely.
that. I think about it all the time too. I'm just getting warmed up now, but I do have a 5-year goal. Like I always try to keep it realistic within my own boundaries too.
That I was just about to ask that question for you, Drew, specifically. Like, do you have a number or an age where you're like, I think I'm going to hang it up around this timeline?
So the biggest thing isn't the age, like it's more of me digressing as a competitor.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I'm starting to notice that my body isn't hitting like it used to, and I have to up dosage, or I'm not enjoying things, or I lose the passion, that's where I'm going to take a step back. You don't make money bodybuilding, you make money from bodybuilding. We talked about this many times. So right now, competing and marketing myself helps me build up my platform as my own market source to where I could indirectly, have a coaching business that grows, potentially a gym, supplements, clothing, things like that, podcasts. It helps us collaborate with guys like you and helps build the division even more. So once I do start to digress, I think I'm going to step back and be more of a coach to where I could put more of my expertise to use in the pro league. That's what I would like to do. Obviously, I got to learn more and have more free time, but myself is like a trial and error dummy with a lot of things that I have done, especially in the sport. And I mentor Ariel a lot too. He teaches me stuff, not just about, the drugs or the sport, but it's about also being a man, the mindset, how you got to go into stuff. Kind of always compare it to like football and like Tom Brady being a 6th round draft pick, working his way up into the league and then performing better under pressure. So, I tend to perform a little bit better under pressure, but as far as peaking guys and kind of, knowing the ins and outs of the sport and really understanding how they respond. That's like my goal. And right now it's very difficult when you're trying to prep yourself. So,
Yeah.
after that's all said and done, like I said, I'm moving backwards and that fire kind of dims for me a little bit. I'm going to put my energy towards something I know I'm always going to have a passion for, and that's coaching.
I love that, man. And I want to hit on something that you guys both said. You know, Dre, I couldn't agree more. I'm young. I'm 28, and I started to get comfortable and really just create a new norm around a toxic body. Like that was my norm, bro. Bad skin, thinning hair. Like it was just a part of the process. Horrible blood work, high gear. It was just my norm. And I would justify it because I would succeed by qualifying for the Olympia. I would win this show or always be in that
It
conversation.
validates you. So you're like, I'm doing something right.
I'm
Yeah.
doing something right, right? And then it took, talking to some veterans who are in this sport, who gave me the opportunity to look at things in a broader perspective. And you being a veteran and you saying these words right now, I do hope there's people watching who understand that, right? Slow it down in order to speed up later. And then Drew, same thing with you. When I transition over to the idea of when do I want to hang it up, I think for me, my last 2 years have been, regression. I've been taking a step back, so it was kind of weird for me to see
But
that
you
happen.
haven't hit your potential yet. And that's the biggest thing that you
Yeah.
always say, even after
Yeah.
you won the show at Optimum, you're like, you have what it takes. Sandy herself on the podcast told you, hey, listen, you're a guy that has the structure. You get it all together, you're going to be that guy that's right there with guys like Banks who are filled out for their height. Like you don't lack in any specific area. It's more or less a peaking problem. You
So
could fine
And like
tune
Drew,
some things, but yeah.
like Drew was saying, once you start digressing, and you were one of the reasons why I retired. Like seeing you, I'm like, man, look at this young dude. He has everything there. Like, how am I going to continue to compete with these dudes in the future?
yeah, but and I think that's the thing. I think I need to see where my max potential looks like. And if that's one day winning the Olympia, which I truly believe in my heart of hearts, that is an opportunity, that's a potential for me. Amazing. If it's not, if it's second, whatever it is, I want to maximize that. And when I can do that at a consistent, basis, that's when I'm going to be comfortable hanging it up. So, I got that question a lot from my family, people kind of outside the sport more than within the sport. And I think hearing, some of you guys just speak kind of gave me an opportunity to look at things slightly different. But Tricky, I'm sorry, we've been off running.
It's okay. It's okay. Can you hear me though?
We can hear you, bro. I think
Okay.
your current setup with all the things going on around the screen is
Yeah,
perfect.
We
I
know his
was
battery
trying. I
percentage.
was
We know
No,
his.
trying.
no,
I don't know.
don't try
Because
to fix it.
I usually use my camera for, meetings, and I don't know, the laptop camera is shit. So I wanted to get like a good camera to,
No,
so
this is
it
perfect
was
for
It's sick.
what this podcast is, man. So a lot of people who are watching this, sometimes they don't know who's actually behind the scenes of kind of the media channels. And then all the fans watching, dude, we also Andre Smith, he runs Men's Physique Central, which a few years back was the biggest coverage page out there in the men's physique division.
men's
And then
physique page.
when that division or that page started to take a kind of a back seat, and then you saw Men's Physique Updates absolutely take over and kind of was the media source for what we were doing and the updates for some of these athletes. So these guys now operating these platforms. I wanted to bring you guys on. I wanted to get your perspective. You guys analyze physiques all the time, right? You guys are consistently up to date with what's going on in the division. And I want to just pick your guys' brain a little bit more and again, just kind of learn a little bit more about one, how you got into the sport of bodybuilding and how you just became a fan of the media side of things. So, Tricky, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into the media side.
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of the sport, and what what actually made me start Men's Physique Update is when I started following bodybuilding, it was like open bodybuilding and then classic physique. And then when men's physique came along, I was like, nah, this is it. If I would ever if I ever competed in bodybuilding, it would be men's physique. So I was kind of drawn to men's physique, the Buendias, the Andre Dayu, and there were new guys in the game, and they made it quite exciting. But nobody was actively putting it out there, especially on YouTube.
Mhm.
So I decided, you know what, let me make videos. When I started, I was using flipping what you call it, GoPros, and I was just recording because I had love for it, and I
Yeah.
was just analyzing literally And then when I wanted to bring it to Instagram, I was like, what name would be the perfect, name to give this? I was like, okay, Men's Physique Update, because then I'm going to be updating people. I wanted to make it more like, e-news, when celebrities go to the restaurant, it's like, oh, this guy just went to this restaurant. When
Yeah.
celebrity, you see two celebrities together. I just wanted to make it like that. I wanted to like on the dot update fans. Oh, this guy just took a picture with his friend. I wanted to put the athletes out there, sort of. So it was just the love that I had for the sport, and I wasn't even doing it for monetary purposes. It was just the love that I had for the sport,
Yeah.
that made me start Men's Physique Update, and it grew, and it's been on and off and on and off, because I've been busy with other stuff. But yeah, I still have a lot of love for the sport,
So,
regardless.
so, how long have you been doing this? Men's Physique
I've
Update.
been doing this before COVID, so since like late, let's say 2019.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that's when I got into sport. So I got into the sport. My first show was 2019, turned pro in 2020. So you were one of the first like media pages that
yeah.
as I'm coming up as a fan that I'm glued to, because I'm falling in love with it for the first time. So I'm just
Hmm.
trying to pay attention to what's going on. That's when I'm starting to learn about like Jeremy Buendia, Andre Ferguson, like those guys, Raymond Edmonds was like my hero, so like seeing all the things you guys posted, it gave me an opportunity to like start to learn, you know what I mean? And I guarantee there's people watching this who also came across your guys' page that gave them that first nugget of information to then continue to grow their knowledge, within the division,
Yeah.
So there is something I want to talk to you about though. You made a post, and this is where I really like as I started to, become an athlete, and not so long ago you made this post, and it was bridged off of something that Sandy said in our podcast. And I thought it was a
Yeah.
good one. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are about this. Which one was it? Was it
I think the one before this one.
yeah, this one?
Yes.
All right. Like
No.
was it this one? Yeah. All right. Let's run this back real quick. But I want to get where your head's at with this. I'm
Judging shows, I feel like the judges don't really care about men's physique athletes. That's how I feel, especially at the Olympia. When you're in the gym, yeah, and you're skipping through music to find perfect song for the next set. That is how I feel at the Olympia. The judges are probably like, yeah, whatever, because they're all waiting for men's open bodybuilding and classic physique. And that needs to stop. But first, the federation needs to stop sending 60 men's physique athletes to the Olympia. We have close to 30 athletes already qualified, and the season has not yet begun. Are we going to get bored out of our skins again at the 2025 Olympia? Stop sending 60 men's physique athletes to the Olympia.
I don't even got to ask you to expand on that. I think you did a pretty damn good job. But
Yeah,
Drew,
it came from a place of, I'm just tired of, because when I buy the Olympia live stream, I want to watch Men's Physique. I don't buy for open. I just want to watch Men's Physique. The way Men's Physique is treated is like, let's go. They are rushed off the stage. Posing hasn't feel like allow the athlete to express themselves, you know, more than anything, presentation is very important to me.
yeah,
I feel like we're taking out the entertainment aspect of it, and they're like, okay, front back, and it's just, the sport is not going to grow. It's not going to grow. Nobody's going to be interested. We want to see art. I feel like bodybuilding, mass physique, whatever is art, and the way you present it is part of the art. You have to present it in a way that, because we want to see, one of my favorite athletes, Sydney Gillen, when she poses, she's so gracious. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So posing is like a big factor for me. And I don't want to just, just people just, I don't care if you're flying, but do something. Show off the physique. You didn't work out and do all the cardio just to come and just be rushed off the stage.
Yeah.
I want men's physique athletes to be able to display their physique in a proper way. Also, exactly like when she poses, I'm like, oh, this is like, look at that. It's so gracious. Even though she's got so much muscle, she makes it so feminine.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. She makes it look very feminine. So
So,
men's physique,
so
yeah.
I'm curious to know. So, what would you say you're looking to see more of? Is it added poses, or is it just a free for all to and while not getting docked, like doing more? They're allowed to do more, but and not getting docked for it.
Not necessarily more, but I feel like it's been stagnant. It's been
Mhm.
very stagnant. Because of the attitude of the judges, the posing has been very stagnant. It's not changed in a while, and it needs to change.
Yeah.
Because I remember back in the day when he started, they would just keep doing this, and then it just kept changing, and then we saw less of this, and it just has to keep changing to a place where we can say, okay, we're proud of where the sport is, where it's come to, So I think it needs to keep evolving, not necessarily more, but it needs to keep evolving. Some
Uh-uh.
of the moves, same moves, but it will evolve if you give the athletes, the space to do so.
So, what athlete would you say right now you like their style of posing that is slightly different than a lot of other people's?
So I still Ebanks, one of the best posers ever. Uh Chiron. The reason why I mentioned Putra is he breaks. I like people who break rules. He's just doing his thing. He's having fun. And that is what I like to see.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he's the best poser, but I like people who kind of go against the grain and they're like, you know what? I mean, you're just here to have fun. And it makes us, the fans, have fun as well. You guys are athletes. All three of you lived the life. I haven't. You get the perspective of someone who's on the sideline.
Yeah.
You guys can come and talk about the technicalities. I can talk about the fans' experience. And that is what I bring to the table.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Drew, what do you think about that?
That was actually what I was going to say because Tricky's talking from a standpoint of a fan and what he wants to see because he covers men's physique. Personally, I think that men's physique started, you can't really compare it to any other division because it is a front back front show with some things that you get to kind of add in your routine. And I've never had a problem other than being, at the amateur level to where I'm rushed off stage, but everything that I want to show, I do. Um, and for the most part, it used to be a lot worse. You used to have to stand feet together straight on back in 2018. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
would correct you on stage, and they made it a little bit more lenient as far as what you could lean towards to make your physique look a little bit better by twisting. A lot of guys that just have the bigger waist, twisting, really being able to show more of the shape that you have, and it would offset you from some of the other guys that maybe couldn't pull off the shape, so showing off those aesthetics. And that's the difference. When everybody has the same front to back pose, we all could angle it and show it off a different way. And that's what really separates us apart. I wish we could do more stuff. I leave it to Instagram as far as like back double biceps, back lat spreads, things like that. But as far as the sport, I think it's heading in a good direction because if it was stagnant, there wouldn't be 58 to 60 guys at the Olympia. I think it's a good thing that the sport is expanding because there are a lot of competitors, but at the same time, a lot of these competitors may not be as known. And from a fan perspective, that fan wants to see their favorite athletes and they feel like they're on stage for only a minute and then off. But when you have the 60 competitors, I think that you kind of have to rush it or at least budget time a little bit. So then you just kind of don't lose translation of the time. I don't think that men's physique is treated any different. I do know that the judges, just seeing a lot of podcasts with Sandy, Steve Weinberger, Becky, they're very passionate about all divisions across the board. But I could see some judges maybe just having their favorite category, but if they weren't serious about it and they kind of rushed everybody and just didn't feel a specific way about men's physique, I don't think that they would be on the panel in general. But I do respect your view on it, Tricky, because it's nice to hear a fan's perspective, as far as somebody who's doing coverage and you know the sport, I mean, I would like to see more too. Maybe make a quarter turn a mandatory, maybe like a Ventura step or something that was on the side. But it would expose a lot of guys that don't have it, because if you don't have a really good pose, you know, it would suck to have to pose that if you were off with a Ventura step, because not everybody could pull it off. But I think that they're neat. We talked about the cap on the competitors. It is a lot. It is a lot to sit through, but they have a system that's been working, and it is growing the division. And at the end of the day, they're still going to have the top 10, the top 10.
Okay, then what are your thoughts about the potential of an elimination round? I know we briefly spoke about that, but you know, is that
I mean, if you're qualified for the Olympia, I think you should go to the Olympia. That's ultimately what it is. Or you make the standings as far as how to qualify a little bit more difficult, maybe in tiers. I would get rid of the points. I would just probably make it, maybe you got to win 2 pro shows. But the problem is the overseas guys, they might not have 2 shows in China or Tokyo or wherever they're from. So it's kind of like, what do you do? And, you know, I believe 10 of the top 20 at the Olympia, 10 or 11, I forget what it is, they are guys that were from China and overseas and stuff like that. So, I mean, nobody had them in that top 15. So if you just kind of counted them out or didn't let them, you know, get in the mix, it wouldn't be a fair opportunity. It's the goal to compete with the best in the world, and they're qualifying for that. You know, obviously it's going to keep growing. So in the future, I think they're going to have to figure something out. But as far as the 58, 60 guys right now, I mean, they cut it close, but they get it done. You know, we're in and out, and then you got the final show, and that's what everybody's working towards. But everybody earned their right to be there.
I 100% agree. I don't like I'm not gonna say I don't like the idea of an elimination round. I don't think anything that I've heard right now is like kind of bulletproof, picture perfect. But like you said, we are kind of like in and out. You know, I feel like for the Olympia, we might want to be able to show a little bit more of the best in the world in this sport / this division, you know. And don't get me wrong, I get it. You know, what are we going to show when we're just hitting front and back? It's not that much we can do. You know what I mean? So I think that the Olympia, bro, it's like Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And it's literally ran no different than any other show, right? In terms of just we're on and off. You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong. Like the spectacle, the things that they do around there, the 60th anniversary was fucking insane. You know, but like I said, I'm curious to see. And you know what? I'm also talking from a guy who's never made it to finals before. So again, it's probably different when you get to that level. But I'm curious to know, because there's been a lot of people talking about it. You know, Steve Weinberger, then there, who was it? Bob Ciccarello just came out about it, said that there's going to be something sooner than later. So things are moving.
They're recognizing that it could potentially be a problem too.
Yeah.
What was that? Could be a problem?
They're recognizing that it could potentially be a problem too, and that's why they're kind of talking about this. So they have a plan set. You know, you got to kind of always think in advance too. So that's just how this business is, especially adding another division. You know, a lot of people were hating on the fit model division, but it's given more people an opportunity. It's not just a sport; it's a business. You want it to grow. You want people to be able to do it, but you still have to fit the part. That's why there's different categories. Some women may not just have the physique. Some guys may not have the physique. You know, I'm actually curious to see if they're going to bring a fit model for like the men, to where it's like original men's physique now. And I'm curious to see how they would budget that. And obviously, if they added that division to the Olympia, then they would have to probably cut down on other divisions to make that time slot work.
You know, Tricky's thought about posing just hit me when you asked that question. How do you think the fit model male division, whatever, how do you think they would pose? Is it like going back to old school?
Maybe like the overseas, where it's like the quarter turns.
Yeah. Oh, or like the natural
when it started.
OCD. Yeah. Damn. I never thought about that, because they're gonna have to differentiate it somehow. You know what I mean?
And when I say, you know, the posing has to evolve, I've seen so many people bring, you know, different, you know, additions to the whole posing, like E-Banks, the way he poses his back. Nobody used to pose their back like that. And then E-Bank started that, and then everybody did it. You know,
well, first, not to cut you off, but Brandon started that. He started that pose.
Wait.
The load up?
Yeah.
The Christmas tree, yeah.
Brandon was doing it back when we were doing dark sports shoots. I
You're
mean,
talking about
forever.
when Banks brings his
I
arms
mean, no,
up
I
and
mean,
goes
no,
around.
yeah, no, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
the way he
oh,
posed the
they all
suspense,
have their certain
the
style to
build
it.
up, the build up,
Yeah,
the build up before the whole, he opens up. That was different,
okay,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
exactly. So it's the small things, and then everybody started doing the
you
Ventura step,
anticipated as a fan.
Yeah.
exactly, and then
Yeah.
also George, what's his name,
George Brown.
Brown.
George Brown is he's also got
Yeah,
certain stuff that he does, like the X-Man. I know there's been a few people who said he started that as well. Little stuff, not necessarily front double bicep or back double bicep, not necessarily bodybuilding poses, but
Yeah.
little things.
What's up, Men's Physique fans? Now, before we get back to the episode, I wanted to remind you guys that mensphysiqueradio.com is officially live. You can log on and make your predictions on who you believe is going to be at the top of the conversation at the next show. And if you consistently get your picks right and you are at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the month, you'll have an opportunity to win a prize from one of our sponsors. And you'll have all of the available knowledge to make your predictions as accurate as possible. We have direct links to the athlete's social media accounts so you can go see their most recent updates, and you'll also have a direct built-in competition history as the athlete continues to compete and builds their resume. So all you guys have to do is go to mensphysiqueradio.com, make sure you sign up, click your predictions, and make sure you tag us in our Instagram story post. This platform was simply made to bring the men's physique division together. And I want to be very clear, this platform was not created in order to have some kind of financial benefit from our host. Instead, we put a lot of money into this in order to bring a community together, and that's what we're trying to do with the Men's Physique Radio platform. So as always, guys, we love you, we appreciate you. Make sure you go place your predictions, and let's see who is the most accurate. Okay, now back to the podcast.
That will make the sport look more pleasing to other
I
people
agree.
who
Adding
just
more character to really show your
exactly.
strengths, and not too
Yes.
many people do that. They tend to just kind of do the minimum. But a lot of the guys at the Olympia level, when you see one guy hit a really dope pose, a lot of the guys start to catch fire and do the same exact thing. And that's the problem. And that gets so oversaturated to where
Yeah.
the only guy that's really known for the pose is the one that creates it. It's kind of like Lucky with the Superman pose. There's only a few guys that can pull off the Superman pose to where it really looks dope. And, it's reminded every time I see it as Lucky. It's like Lucky's pose. And then you got guys that do these poses that it doesn't fit them, or they're loading up their back when their back isn't their strength. The reason Aaron loads the back up because it's a wow factor.
Yeah.
So when he steps back and he loads that back up, everybody's like, holy shit. And he's showing everything from it, from relaxed to, pulling the Christmas tree back and then opening up to where it's a jaw dropper. But you can't be doing that when you don't have a good back, and that's what a lot of people do. That's why I kind of milk my front poses, and I'll hit 2 or 3 front poses with a Ventura step and hold it and look away. And, it's what works for me. And I try to have my personality kind of seen through my physique.
Yeah. And I think you said something really good. I think a lot of people expose themselves when they try to copy a lot of other people out there right now. And I think that's something people need to learn, how to actually pose correctly to highlight their strengths versus other people's others. So, all right, guys.
Yo, real quick on that topic of Olympia qualified people and having too many people at the Olympia and it being oversaturated. Like right now, we got 29 people that's qualified already, and there's 50
29?
shows left. 29.
That's crazy to think 29 already, and the show season really hasn't started, like the 2025 season. And in the open division, 20 people qualify, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't even think it's that.
Yeah, like
right now qualified, it's like 6.
Or you mean total? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that
Damn, I didn't know it was 29. Shit.
29 already. And there's 50 shows, and that's not including all the natural shows that they have. Because I don't know how many people they're bringing from naturals to Olympia. I don't know if it's just going to be one or more.
Yeah.
So you think about that. That's 80. That could be 80 people. It won't be 80 because more people are going to do more shows or whatever. But 80 people on stage, like that's insane to think about. So a few different ways that I thought about doing it is, I don't know if y'all remember the tier system. It was tough, but I think that's one way that it could be done.
Explain it for those who might have no idea what you're talking about.
So for the tier system, basically what they used to do was they would have it mapped out as tiers. Like the Pittsburgh Pro, Arnold, and I think it was the New York, maybe one other show that was like tier one, and you would get like maybe 5 points for winning that show.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a tier two and a tier three, and you would get like 3 points and then 1 point if you won those shows. And at the end of the season, the top 3 or 5 people, they changed it a few different years. They would qualify for the Olympia if you didn't just outright win a show. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is.
Are you saying do that for everybody?
What do you mean? You mean for?
Like, I think it's the guys that just didn't qualify.
Yeah, because they used to do the tiers
at the end. Yeah. If you
qualify.
win, you're still in, though, right?
If you win, yeah. Well, they had it 2 different ways. They had it if you won, you weren't in automatically. So there was one year they did it. If you won, and it wasn't one of the top tier shows, then you weren't in automatically.
Okay,
so
I didn't know that.
You could do it those two different ways, or another way that you could do it is every show isn't a qualifier. You have those shows, you compete, and you compete against other pros. You win, you may win prize money because in NPC you don't win prize money, but you don't qualify for Olympia.
You think
so your family can still?
Show? You think people would even?
What was that?
You think people would even do the show?
Hell yeah!
Really?
Hell yeah! Yeah, Drew, if you're from Georgia, it's a show in Georgia. Your family can be there. You're a pro. You can win money. Yeah, you gonna do it.
I think it would be for the guys that may not have they might not be known as top tier athletes, right? I think it would be like the secondary athletes who like, okay, maybe they're top 10 at pro shows, but they know like, hey, they're not going to do well with the hitters. You know, maybe it would be for that. Personally, I wouldn't, because I like the challenge. I like to push myself and be able to challenge and win big shows, but that is a good option. Another thing is, to me, like 70, 80 guys for Olympia, it is crazy. But at the same time, think about how many pros are around the world and how many guys actually get to go to the Olympia. I mean, every single one has won a pro show. So you're kind of thinking, all right, 80 is still a lot. They could still get through these guys pretty quick, and they could do it pretty professionally. And it's not crazy. Sometimes it can be a little bit boring, but it is what it is, kind of with any division. Even watching, like, for me, like the fitness division, sometimes, unless you have a really favorite athlete you like, but sometimes it's just going through the movements. But from all the pros that compete throughout the year, to simplify it all the way down to 80, there's thousands and tens of thousands of pros. And to kind of simplify it right to 80, that's still not a lot. Now, I don't think that it should be that number. I think there should be something that they do beforehand, but I just think it's still one of those, it's just a growing division. It's so popular. Everybody does it now. To win a pro show is still pretty fucking hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard.
I mean, you know, Andre, even taking a break and then coming back and like kind of seeing Alex, and, you know, when you don't compete for a while, you kind of see how the sport evolves when you're kind of sitting it out a little bit. You'll come back and see these guys that you used to beat, and then they're like beating you just because they stayed with it for a while. And that's kind of what starts to happen. So you got to evolve with the sport. If you take, you know, a little break and then come back, it's hard. And I've seen it with Antoine Witherspoon. I see it with Charjo. I see it with these guys that have the genetics. They're at the top. You know, they just got to stay with it. And obviously there's things that go on, and personal life and stress and jobs and all of that. But at the end of the day, we all deal with that too. It's just a matter of, you know, sticking with it.
Yeah. No.
All right. Two other ways that real quick that I wanted to share. And one, a lot of people probably not gonna like, and that's making the Olympia a little bit longer. So the judges aren't judging everybody in just 2 days or 3 days. You're making it longer. Let's say you make it 2 weekends, or and then you just have men's physique and bikini one weekend and open 212 or whatever another weekend. It is more money. A lot of people are not going to like it, but that is another way of doing it. And then my last way is they have, I think it's like a amateur Olympia, but if you had like the Olympia in a country or in a continent, and then the winners of those come together and then they all compete for the top.
That could be cool.
That's just another way to think about it.
That would be sick. That would be interesting. I haven't heard that one yet. That's cool.
That's cool. I never heard about that one. Would you guys ever want to like have the Olympia in another country to actually like?
That would be great. Like they used to back in the day.
They used to. I was actually watching one of Steve Weinberger's podcasts, and he was talking about it with some of the guys. And I thought, I never knew it. And then I was doing my research and stuff. And I think it's dope. I think it's just about expanding, you know, just because it started here doesn't mean it needs to stay here. It's a worldwide thing. You got a lot of guys that are coming from other countries, and the biggest thing is opening up the competition. And I see it with the Open a lot. A lot of these guys that Beirut, for example, that dude can't compete at the Olympia, and if he did, I think he'd be top 5. But he's not able to come there. Now, I'm not saying the whole sport needs to cater to him. I'm just saying if they went somewhere else, I mean, you're going to deal with the U.S. guys that may not be able to go to other countries, but at least they're shifting it a little bit more to where you have the opportunity to also travel and just be in a different place and kind of cater to some of these other athletes. I think it would be a pretty dope idea.
I agree. I think it would be dope just as actual athletes. We get to experience the other parts of the world, how bodybuilding is involved in. I think it would be cool, man. Like, how the Super Bowl is never in the same place every single year, right? So Super Bowl of our sport, it'd be cool to see us bounce around a little bit. But
I don't know if Drew and Alex, if y'all went to different countries and competed yet, but that experience for me was it's crazy.
You went to Asia, right?
I went to Asia. My favorite show of all was in Brazil.
Really?
I got a video.
They're crazy out there. Yeah.
Yo, if you watch those soccer matches where they're going crazy, that's how it was at the show. I'm on stage, the stage is shaking, and I'm like, yo, it's gonna cave in. Like Diago, Felipe, like they're just yelling, screaming. They got bullhorns. You can't hear the judges. Like, it is wild.
Oh my! Who won that show? What is the Brazilian?
Diago won, and that was the first time he beat Felipe. And that was like the first time Felipe lost to anybody in Brazil. So it was crazy.
Felipe was like the sensation back then. That guy was like he was like the Brazilian Bumstead for men's physique.
Yeah, dude, had the crazy.
That's awesome, but I think it's because they're not used to having bodybuilding shows there, and if they do, it's not overpopulated. They have like 100. Like out here, just in the Midwest, there's so many shows, local shows, state shows, things like that. I mean, they got the Chicago Pro, but I mean, aside from that, it's so popular. But over there, I think it's just like pro shows, and they might have a few pro qualifiers, and that's it. And they kind of got to plan it throughout the years. So when they finally are able to put on a show, it's packed, big venue. They put a lot of money into it. The athletes are treated awesome, and the experience too, if you haven't done it. Like, it's definitely somewhere that I want to go, Brazil, because Banks talked about it.
I have to do it, bro. When I competed in India, it was, bro.
That's right, you did. Yeah, that's right, you did. I forgot about that.
It was nuts, bro.
It was like a game show. It looked like a game show. They were like
fires coming out. They got confetti. It was insane, bro. And you got like fans trying to jump over like gates and stuff to try to get just a picture. You know what I mean? So it's different. And that's what I'm saying. If we can experience that, imagine once our minds get opened up into what bodybuilding fans, you know what I mean? That's what it's about, bro. You know what I mean? But overall, if you haven't competed internationally as a pro, it's something you guys got to do. All right, let's lose some followers. So for those of you who don't know, Men's Physique Radio recently came out with a new predictions platform, and I went ahead and added. Start with you, Dre. So this is for the Arnold. Let me see. I'm still learning how to use everything. All right. You got now also, Drew, you gotta swap yours too.
Yeah, I saw that today. I actually was waiting to hear the story when we go over this.
All right, it's loading up. All right. Dre, you're up first.
Real quick. And I hope nobody gets upset. If they do, oh well. I got Aaron coming in first. I'm starting with first to 6. I got Aaron coming in first.
Okay. Now, of course, last time we did the podcast, we had everyone voted, had Aaron in first. Now, what's your reasoning behind it? People said that we were on Dick just because we're friends with him. I'm curious to know what your reasoning is.
Like he said when he did that interview, I just don't think people took the interview the right way, and they didn't listen to the whole interview. Yeah. He wasn't down in Ali at all. He was just saying how he felt in his opinion. And with his opinion, I do agree with. And that's one of the things I've talked about on a few shows that I've done with how the point system is ran, if it was ran a little bit different, I think that he would definitely win easily. But I think he's beaten Ali in most, if not all, minus maybe conditioning, but that's why I got Aaron. I think he's just more complete. And I like his look better than Ali's. I think Ali's arms, in my opinion, are just too big.
Yeah.
For his physique.
Listen, I don't know what it is. I think Ali has like a beautiful physique. Like, but then when you start to break it down by body part, or just better yet, comparing it, like even like Diogo, it's just you can pick things out that's like, oh wait, okay, I see where there's flaws, but when you look at it
and it flows together,
it's pretty. All right, who you got going in a second?
Right now, Diago's second. I didn't see a lot of people having Diago second.
No.
Maybe because he didn't get to compete at the Olympia and they haven't seen him in a while. But Diago, the way he's been coming, the mindset that he's had since he hasn't been able to compete at Olympia,
bro,
he's on.
So
he's on. His shape is almost unmatched.
I was gonna say, I think his shape might be arguably better than Aaron's.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't mean it like that, but yeah, I believe so. I think
like,
it is.
It's insane. His shoulder to waist ratio just doesn't make any sense. But okay, third place,
Ali.
All right.
Ali third. I'm not saying none of these can change, but you don't know how people are going to show up. But this is
I want to make this clear. Like, make sure you take your AIs before making a comment about any of these predictions. This is literally just fans making predictions of who they think is going to win the show. This isn't who we like more, right? This is simply, if we were the judges in the judging chairs, what we would predict. All right. Now,
if it was who we like more, I would have Ryan and Jason 1 and 2. I mean, because I know them personally and I like both.
It's hard because you still, the people will still think it's bias, even though we do the pod with Aaron. But that's why I explain my reasonings behind all of this, and I encourage people to watch the other videos to where we're explaining it, just so they could understand where I'm coming from. Because I took a while with my predictions a couple of weeks ago and wrote out a whole thing, and I really went into it deep, and I wanted to make sure that I was giving my 100% with it.
Yeah, I had Ali winning up until maybe 3 weeks ago. I straight up said it. I think, again, I just thought his physique was so pretty. The conditioning was going to be, nobody's going to be able to come close to it. Like, there was just certain things, but like when you really start to break it down again, that's where things started to shift a little bit. All right, now that Vitor is no longer doing the show, right? So that's crazy. Do you guys hear about like the whole story where someone stole all the documents?
That's crazy.
I feel for him, man. Like, have you guys ever been that close to a show and then end up having to drop out due to unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah, I was gonna do New Zealand, and I was living in Japan. I was gonna do New Zealand, and I'm mad because the person that won that year, I would have crushed them. But anyways, it was we had a typhoon or something like that. It was some kind of weather situation that I couldn't go last minute.
Damn. What about you, Drew? Anything?
I never almost stopped them when I had that layover at the connecting flight, and it was, it took off. I had all my food frozen in my bag that went all the way there. I had to rent a car, and it's always the excuses after the fact. I just did what I could and came in and still brought a physique that, I thought I could redeem, and I just learned from it, but never had something to where I had to quit.
Yeah.
Or stop. Like, it was still in control of going there. I just kind of made it work, because if I didn't, then I'm like, damned if I don't, like, oh, I could have won it, but I don't want to be that guy.
No, I get it. All right, so who do you have coming in at fourth?
I'm gonna speed it up. I got Ryan coming in at fourth. It was a toss-up between him and Vitor. If Vitor was still in it, but I got Ryan now at number 4. Number 5, it's gonna be tough because Sid, he doesn't look as conditioned, but I think once he pulls that water, I don't know. I don't know. I think I got Emmanuel.
Wow.
Emmanuel's been on and coached by Cut. So,
bro, I don't know what they've done different, but that man is bursting right now. I've never seen him look like this.
He looks peaked now. He looks 5 minutes out.
After Emmanuel, it's a toss-up between Jason Hunt and Alessandro. I'm gonna be biased and go with Jason, then Alessandro.
I got Jason, bro. We'll do our top 6, but let me save you. And just so people can understand the scorings, right? So we have 6. It's very simple. All right. But Tricky, you up. It's time to lose some followers, baby. Let's go.
So my at number one, I've thought about this. Like I have actually really, really sat down and contemplated. It's obviously for me, it's still between Ali and Erin.
Mhm.
Ali and Erin's physique, 2 different physiques. It's like best of both worlds, right? I still believe Erin is gonna beat Ali when they turn their backs.
Yep.
Okay. But Ali is going to beat Erin when they turn front.
Mhm.
So it's I feel like it's a 50-50 thing, but I will go with Ali
Okay.
at number one.
See, now people can't sit here and say that we're just
We all
Yes,
kind of said the same thing though. Like Aaron
because
has the back and Ali has the front.
yeah.
yes, because one thing Erin has not been bringing is the conditioning, and when it comes to conditioning, we know Ali's he's gonna come in peel. That's a banana. So yeah. So Erin number 2. I don't think there's anything I need to say more because I literally just said, spoke on both of them. And number 3, obviously Diogo. And also one thing I need to say before I move on, Ali has won the UK version of the Arnolds.
That's
He's
true.
come to the United States. He's dominated there as well. He's won every big show that Erin has won, and he's recently beat, like when it comes to head to head, he recently beat Erin at the Olympia. So that is where I considered that as well.
Yeah.
So
See,
yeah, that
the
is
only reason like I think Aaron is like the logo of men's physique. Like his look is like a more of a logo style. Like if men's physique was a look, it would be more traditional Aaron. I think what's hurts Aaron is Aaron. Like he hasn't, perfected his peak, or he hasn't nailed his look, we'll say, over the
yeah,
last couple of
yeah.
years. And I'm
And that,
on, at least based off the recent updates, because if Aaron was doing what he used to do and he didn't update like consistently, or because this is very new, like this is something he has never done.
Yeah.
That is also what gave me a confidence in saying, okay, he at 3 weeks out is looking damn near what he looked like, peak week going into the show. So if he can, stay on track with that, I just don't see it, man. But
yeah.
again,
And
look at
that
those.
is what Ali should be counting on. If he doesn't come in,
Yes.
you know, that is game over for Aaron, But if he comes in, I still think it's very 50-50. So I'll keep it like that.
Okay.
And at number 4, I'll go for me, it's between Emmanuel and Ryan. But I'll go for Emmanuel. Because Emmanuel, he's got some crazy physique as well.
Hold on. Okay.
And then
This is absolutely insane. So let me make sure this is the right account. No, it's not. There's who the hell is this guy? Because Emmanuel, first of all, this is the best that he's ever looked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, look at this shit, bro. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is 5 days ago.
Yeah. Crazy.
I've never seen him as like a threat. Like truly, I haven't.
Yeah, yeah.
He teamed up with Cuts this year. Just 2 kilos away
this
from
is dangerous.
Oh my God.
It is dangerous.
You think this is going to translate to the stage? This freak
The
factor?
feeling is that because
He's gonna get better.
I've never really seen him off. He always comes in like pretty peeled. So let's see.
He usually looked bloated in the core, in my opinion. I'm seeing now that he's working with Cuts, I do notice that every guy is more mainstreamed in the waist, and the lines in his lower back, even from the Olympia here, aren't visible in the photos, because sometimes I look at where their lines crease, like if they're holding or whatever, because I have the same issue. I could kind of judge my conditioning, my peak by, my lower back. I'm not seeing any of that here, and he still has time on the clock, and he didn't even go through the drying out phase. So those are little details that I look at. Yeah, and he doesn't have a wrinkle in his lower back. I mean,
I was gonna say, now that I look at it, man, this physique is impressing me more and more and more. This is nuts.
I think it's going to translate better to the stage when he peaks, because I know, Alex doesn't know yet, but Ariel has some tricks that he does peak week, and it usually just looks even better. And I think he's on a good pace to come in and upset some people.
Yeah,
I would say he's the dark horse now that I'm seeing all these.
No, I agree. I think he, to me, he's somebody who I wasn't expecting, and then now I'm like, he could actually be in the top 4. All right, who you got coming in 5th?
Number 5, Ryan. And number 6, Alessandro.
You think he's gonna nail his conditioning, Alessandro?
Hopefully he does. I've
Seems
seen
a little
Alessandro,
behind.
I've seen him in person. He's a big guy. He's a
Yeah,
big
he's
guy.
big.
All he needs to do is, just streamline it, just bring the conditioning. And I
No
believe he's been
Jason
told that.
in there.
What's up?
No. Top 6, no.
Where
Ryan.
does Alessandro and Ryan Clark beat Jason, in your opinion?
What'd you say?
Where does Alessandro and Ryan Clark beat Jason, in your opinion?
I've seen this guy. I feel like he has a great shape.
Yeah.
He has a very great shape. And for me, all he's been lacking on is the conditioning. If he brings the conditioning, his shape just stands out. He's a tall guy as well. So if he tightens everything up, he's gonna look phenomenal.
Alessandro
Compared to Jason, is not a very tall guy.
Yeah. But the lineup is generally around that shorter frame too. So it's another thing to take into account. And that's what I base my predictions off of. Who's going to be the apple with a bunch of oranges?
Yeah. Personally, I feel like I like Alessandro's physique than Jason's physique. It's just a personal preference.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I asked. I want to see where your mind was from.
I think he's big as shit. Like,
he is big.
He's huge.
He's like 6'2".
Yeah, he's tall. Yeah.
There was a show on the West Coast. It might have been this year's. What was it? The show that we did together.
Did he do a 3-peat? Or was that
San Diego?
He did. Yes,
yeah.
I think it was the muscle contest show, bro. I think he placed like 10th, 11th, like Olympian. And they said he was just too big. But then that same year later, he went on to win 3 back-to-back shows out of nowhere.
When the judges say you're too big, I think it just depends on the lineup.
The lineup, yeah.
Yeah, because you could appear to be too big in a lineup of guys that are they're not carrying as much mass. But for example, in an Olympia lineup, he's not going to be the biggest. Therefore, they can't say he's too big. There might be certain things that in proportion may be too big, but I think his physique flows for a taller guy.
Because that show right there that he won, I believe it was a tall guy from the UK. I can't remember his name right now. He beat like 2 tall guys. He beat.
Was Tyler Smith in that one? When I think a tall guy from UK, I think Tyler Smith.
I don't know if he was. If he was, he didn't place top 3. I can't remember the guy. He's in Olympia that he beat.
Oh,
there he goes.
Oh,
Yemi.
Yeah, he's like 6'7".
Yeah.
Huge.
So you had him. There was another tall guy in there that didn't place top 5, but he.
Yo, I think Alex is like 6'2". Look how tall Yemi is next to him.
Dude, Yemi has some legs for a dude that's tall. Usually when you see taller guys, think like NBA, like guys that have thinner legs. He's got some quads.
Yeah, he's gonna be a problem. All right, Drew, we got to fix yours up. Now that Vitor is not here.
Okay.
So do you want to move Jason down?
I'm gonna
before you hit it, Drew.
All right.
One of the reasons why I just felt like I needed to say this, Ryan could jump up. Because Ryan, like Drew, once he hits that pose, he ain't moving.
Yeah.
And that shit looks magical. Like
Come on,
he is
Ryan,
not
right?
moving. Ryan Clark. Yeah, he's not moving around. So if he hits that pose and everybody else is up there fidgeting and moving around and whatever, he could move up. He could be top 3.
Yeah.
See, and this, I want to make this very clear. Like, outside of, to me, who I believe are the top 3, I think anybody can jump anybody. And like, the only reason that Ryan, and I said this recently too, and I don't think he liked it, but just because, like, I have never seen him beat, this was before Vitor was out. I've never seen him beat Vitor, so I didn't put him ahead of Vitor, right? Like, I'd never seen him, from my understanding, beat Jason or beat Sid. So I didn't put him, I had him on my list that originally at 6, right? So I haven't seen him beating the guys ahead of him, you know? So that's the only reason I didn't put him ahead there. But his updates are trending, from what I see, to be the best that he's ever going to be on stage. And if he can do that, because I think he's balanced. People talk about his back. I don't agree. I think his back looks great. I think there is a little bit of disformity in it, but I don't think it's at all what people make it out to be. I actually think at some angles it actually makes it look like his more detailed to his back. I think that he could easily jump up to a 5th place. You know, I think he has that physique. He's a streamlined waist. He's conditioned. He has the muscle density. He has the fullness. He has the balance from front to back. There's not one muscle group that's necessarily dramatically different than the others. And I think that's what you need, right? A balanced men's physique, clean look. And the only thing I think that ever hurts him is his height, right? Because there's some of these tall guys on stage, him standing next to Sid, you know what I mean? Who's not a small dude in terms of muscle as well. So I think that's the only thing. But like I said, I think any of these guys can truly jump each other. But okay, Drew.
So exactly what you just said about Ryan with his height, with everything just being in check, complete. I agree 100%. But everything you just said could be applied to every one of these guys. And like we were talking earlier, or even like seeing it on the comment section, Ryan hasn't beaten any of the guys that we have in the top 5 currently. I don't think that they've went head to head, Jason and Ryan, but that's a comparison that I really, really want to see.
Yeah, I agree.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Jason to 4th, and I'm going to put Ryan 5th, and I'm going to keep City 6th, because City's updates, they haven't been as consistent as far as all these other guys that I'm seeing. It's not that he's digressing. It's just the other guys just keep getting better each week. When they look insane, they're posting, they look even more insane. So like I said, when we talk about this and we're seeing updates and we go as the time is moving with like the weeks getting closer and the peak and all this, and people are posting like the peak week freak shots, that's when I'm kind of judging it. So if I do go back on my opinion, it's based on what I'm seeing. So that's where I kind of take the bias out of it. Ryan looks absolutely insane. He's peeled beyond belief. His front pose is his money shot. His back is crazy as well. And the only reason why I said that the back holds him back is who he's comparing to.
Like, I implore everyone to go back and look at Jeremy Buendia's back. Him and Ryan's back, they both got the same. Yeah. It's not for the same reason, and he won Olympia.
Yeah.
And Ryan's it looks way better now. So
I think this is the biggest I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
Bro, I've never,
is he at his cap?
He better be. He's a damn tank.
Crazy if he's not. Like, if he's not, that's insane.
I was gonna say he looks maxed out. He looks like
this doesn't look like an issue to me. Like nothing crazy. You can see a little bit, but it's nothing crazy.
No, but it wasn't. That's crazy. Not what I said specifically. It was he pinches. See how he'll fidget? So if he pinches, when you're on stage, you know how it is when the guys are really close and you're shouldering and elbowing. If he pinches, he's going to be stuck. The judges are just going to move him. That's what I think. And the probability of that happening, it's already happened at a couple shows that I have seen. He was moved center in Miami. I believe it was 2 years ago. Or not Miami, Atlanta. When Jeremy Potvin won, he was moved center, and then he held it until he was pinched his back, and then he was moved out. Deke Walker had the same exact issue in Miami. So I look at this stuff because you can look at pictures when it's hit and it looks great. But if he does pinch on stage, that's a variable that I'm just taking into account that some of the other guys don't have. Some guys may pinch, but I've just seen Ryan pinch before. That's just the things that I look at.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I think he's going to do well. I mean, the top 5.
I know he's hungry, bro. He's excited. He's hungry. Yeah. I love seeing his posts. He's another guy that posts because he knows he's on. He's seeing it. You know, he's excited, and I'm excited for him. I'm happy to see him at the show, and I know how much he loves it. You know, he's excited just to be there and on top of it, not just to participate, but to compete. So, you know, I'm doing these predictions. I even had a disclosure when we did the last podcast. This isn't to
It don't
piss
matter.
anybody off. It's just what I would think. I'm not going to do this just because I want to tell people what they want to hear, rather what I believe. And it's subject to change, but we're going to see. It's probably the best video going into the Arnold here, like the last predictions. I'm going to finalize mine with that.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to, before we transition, because I know, Tricky, what time is it for you right now?
Don't worry about it. Like 2:13 in the morning.
Oh!
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
All right. I feel horrible. But the Men's Physique Radio platform, it's mensphysiqueradio.com. You guys are going to log in, very simple. Then you guys can place your predictions. At the end of each month, we have sponsors who are, and they're going to be announced soon, who are going to, whether it's give supplements, gift cards for clothing, you name it, board shorts from Manifest, out of the top, 5, potentially 8 people in the leaderboard. So it's a really cool opportunity to bring the division together. So if you guys can go in, make your predictions. And again, it's not an opportunity for us to make any money. This is just money that we invested into, continue to give back to the division. All right. So the way we end every podcast, questions. All right. Just to loosen us up a little bit. And all right. What's something you would change about the IFBB/men's physique division? I guess Tricky doesn't have to answer that.
Let me go.
Yeah.
Drew.
All right. So I'm going to say there should be, I think the sport advocates for almost anybody to compete at a local level show. And we see it every year with guys at national shows that enter and they're just not in shape at all. And for me, I think you should at least have some sort of foundation to where you should be cleared to compete before just keeping it completely open. And then the guy who just lost 400 pounds is now 400 to 300 pounds, lost 100 pounds. He wants to go on stage and be a bodybuilder. I think that sometimes when you look at it, people are going to make fun of it. It can make the sport look bad. Like anybody can do it. And us as bodybuilders that are very passionate about it, and even fans, you want to see bodybuilding, not just some out of shape guy on stage just because he's trying to show off his weight loss. So that's the biggest thing that I would probably critique at the NPC level, not the IFBB level, obviously, because they're not getting their pro cards, but I don't think that the stage is for everybody.
Yeah. And we see that at least a handful of times every single year.
And then people are like, oh, don't make fun of them. We're proud because, and it's almost like, I don't make fun personally, but I have my opinion. I don't think that the stage is for everybody. I think you should get on stage to show off your hard work. And I think that, if you lost 100 pounds, but you're still out of shape, it's hard work, but you're not displaying that physically. I think being a bodybuilder, you need to have some sort of muscle tissue and conditioning and just, you don't got to be Mr. Olympia, but you should have, a gateway physique to being a competitor.
Yeah, maybe the NPC can offer something that allows them to have a platform. Whether it's
not a new division, but
it's like, I think summer shredding is a transformation division, which is
exactly. Or highlight them, bring them out on stage at a national show and be like, hey, they won summer shredding. This is their before and afters, and give them credit. But to go on stage and pose next to some guys, like imagine being that guy on stage that's next to another guy who didn't prep as hard or as long and things like that. So that's how I look at it.
Dre?
Mine, I say it every time I get on live or a podcast. It's the scoring system. It's way too vague for me.
Would you
me when I was competing? If I knew what to prepare for exactly, that's what I would do. I would prepare for that. The scoring system right now, they have it laid out, and it's laid out in one paragraph. And the paragraph isn't a paragraph; it's 2 sentences. It's way too vague. I think if it was a point system and it was based off your body parts, your posing, your symmetry, muscle development, your stage presence, I think it would be a lot more easier for people to be like, oh, okay, I see why Aaron won this show, or Ali, or whoever, or why my boyfriend didn't win this show.
So it's not controversial or as controversial as has been, because it seems to flip flop a lot, and people question, what are the judges looking for? And it's not like, okay, just because Tricky's favorite bodybuilder didn't win, he's gonna, at least have some answers to where maybe the breakdown is what judge had who where, and maybe some notes or some feedback, or Tyler does do summaries that I do like that he added the past
Oh,
year,
yeah.
but there are some shows that to me I've even been in the crowd and watch, and I don't necessarily agree, but then again, I'm not a judge, but I'd like it explained a little bit better than, like you said, two sentences. It's
Yeah.
another thing that I would add.
Ricky, is anything else you want to add outside of posing? Stay with posing.
No, 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 no. I'm not even gonna talk about posing. I've already, made my points heard. But if there's one thing I would change about the IFBB is money. Like give the athletes more money. I think it makes it very unattractive for athletes to be IFBB Pro, compete in IFBB Pro, and try to make money off sponsorships, and that is not what it should be. It's 2025. People play video games and they have tournaments where people win $1 million just for playing video games. It's 2025. People like James Shark, they've built $1 billion companies out of gym clothing. Like, can't you find money to give to the athletes?
Yeah.
There's so many clothing brands, VQ, all of them, supplement companies. It's literally fashion right now. Everybody wants to go to the gym. Why can't you find money to give to the athletes? Why are athletes still struggling, prepping, and at the end of the day, they make less than they put into the sport just so they can get sponsorship to make a living? It makes no sense to me. They should find more ways to monetize the sport so athletes can live off, going to shows and say, okay, I went to this show. I won 20,000, 20,000 pounds, like they do in Dubai. You go to Dubai, you're good for a few months, not the 2K, 5K, 3K they do in the US and the UK and some parts of Europe. So personally, I feel like they should give. I've been hammering this for a while. Like, give the athletes more money, make it worth their while. There's no sense in it that you compete just to hope that some supplement company signs you and gives you some money at the end of the month. So I would say that's the only thing I don't like about the sport. It makes it very unattractive. That is what, you know, deterred me from competing. Initially, I wanted to compete, but I was like, I'm not gonna, you know, it's just give the athletes more money. Find a way to give the athletes more money. There are ways. You just need to find it. That's it.
I love it. I think for me, the only thing I would add is the athletes, the pros, to be allowed to select like their music when they walk out. I feel like we get a little bit of like a confidence level when we hear a good song. Opposed to, and
100%
then
agree.
that can add a little bit more too, because if somebody can like hit a certain look during a certain beat drop or something, that's gonna take the, you know what I mean? You're gonna be
100% agree.
right. So shit, that's how TikTok took off all these things.
Adds to the look, yeah, and it just you have it kind of doesn't even have to be rehearsed, but when your song comes on, it puts you in a better mood. Maybe it
Yeah.
takes some of the the nerves out of you and you get in the mood of it. I'm one of the guys that I don't get as nervous on stage. I've done over 50 shows, and but the first few shows, I mean, I'm so into my own emotion that it's hard, but it's just something that I think about too. It would be sometimes I don't even hear the music, but if a song does come on, I'll be like, okay, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Not to put on for Freddie's show in Texas, but he does that. If you tell him like,
Really?
yo, I
Yeah, the
want this song
DJ.
to come on, he'll
Oh, he
play
is a
it.
he is a DJ.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. I'm gonna sponsor his shows, bro. I love what they're doing over there. I really do.
With the expo too, they're doing an expo.
Are they?
Yeah, Texas is doing an expo. I talked
I
to
didn't know.
Sheila. They were planning it last year to now. So that would be cool to do something for NPR there in the future, and
Yeah.
do some more collabs and stuff and get all our channels even more recognition, and maybe even start once I know we just started this prediction thing, but maybe it could be like a FanDuel for bodybuilding. Some people
Bro.
are so confident with their predictions, put some money on it. I mean, think about it.
The amount of
That,
people
that
who
could actually circulate more money too and more interest, and people that aren't even into bodybuilding maybe into just putting their bets on it and getting into it because you could potentially win money.
I think it's a good thing, but when people's money gets involved, it's tricky. But you see what I did there? And then and then secondly, I think it would have to be like Prize Picks does something where it's like, Okay, will Ali Bilal win this show? Yes or no? It's just like yes or no. It's like blanket statement, yes or no. And it's not even 50-50. It's just like if he is a favorite, then if you put $20 on it, you might win 15, right? Like so it needs to be something like that, but I don't know, man. I think that could be something cool where it's a little bit easier to bet it. It's simple. There's no, extremes to it,
Or
but
just like picking the winner or something. Just as easy. You either got the winner or you didn't. It just,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Let's just say some. I got a buddy looking into it. All right. How do you deal with the hate for operating a media page? 'Cause I can guarantee each and every single one of you guys have been in some kind of athlete being angry with you, coach being angry with you, something. Guarantee it.
Yeah, yeah. So personally, I've had problems with Emacs. Like he's blocked me, unblocked me many times. I would one thing about me, I would say how I feel. I would say what my point of view is. I didn't do this just to be someone's friend. Like I'm one of the people, I'm not gonna go into anybody's inbox to try to be their friend. I don't really care about this. I just love the sport. That's why I do what I do. So me not getting too close to athletes, I can literally say what I feel. Like I've made predictions that have come true, and people are like, "How do you?" I was like, "That's how I felt." And good example is Ryan Terry. I was like, "Nah, Ryan is going to win." And people are like, "He's sick. Like, how do you know he's gonna?" Like, nah, I think he's gonna win. The day before the Olympia, I text Ryan, you're winning this one. He's like, Ryan is very,
Very
modest. Like, oh
humble
yeah,
and
let's hope. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, nah, I know you're gonna win this. I almost made a video of it, and just to post about. I never posted it, and then he won. Because I felt the shift in the division. I felt like, okay, it used to be a tall man sport, but it's shifted and it shifted. And look at what happened. He won, and the rest is history. And yeah, I've had a few, hey here and there, but I don't really
so
care.
I think your biggest thing is you just you're a fan first, no matter what. Like
Yeah,
it's cool that you
yeah.
have some access to some of these guys, but that access isn't what drives you. It's more of just
Nah, not at all. Not at all. I just love the sport, and I would, at the end of the day, I would say what I have to say.
yeah,
I try not to offend people, but you can't help it sometimes.
I love that. Dre,
Oh, it's tough. I recently took over this page in November, and I had the mindset of like, yo, I'm not competing. I can basically say what I want. Like I can feel how I feel, and I'm just not gonna care. But then after posting some things that I posted or making some comments, I've had other competitors that I've been cool reach out to me and either disagree or dislike some of the things that I've said or posted. And shit kind of sucks. It
yeah,
kind of sucks. And it makes you like not want to post anything. It makes you not want to say anything. But then you got to remember, like, yo, there's thousands and thousands of fans out there that are tuning in and they really care about it. And you got to remember, like when you were competing and you didn't hear things that you wanted to hear, you might have felt a certain type of way. And that's how these competitors are feeling. You just got to disregard that
yeah.
and keep putting on for the fans because that's what you're doing it for. And for the league and for this sport because you want to continue to build it up. And I know money is a big topic and everybody talks about it. And you know that's your end goal for these competitors. So just let all the rest of that shit go. As long as you got that end goal, the rest of the shit don't matter.
Drew, even though you've been like the face of like kind of like the new up and coming podcast. So I want to know kind of like you've been in some shit. Like, how do you deal with it? And, what's your head at with that?
Honestly, I don't engage with it. The biggest way that I've learned to deal with a lot of things is by using my words to break down how I'm feeling. If somebody disagrees with it, tell me why you disagree with it. I don't try to cut the line of communication. The reason why America in general is so divided is because you got a side here, you got a side here. Nobody wants to talk. They just want to fight and argue and tell you why you're a fuckhead, and then you're gonna rebuttal. I don't rebuttal. I just tell people what I feel if I'm asked. I don't say it just like to say it. If I'm asked, for an opinion or something, I give it. And then also I have my reasonings as to why. Now, obviously it's very subjective in this sport because somebody that you have winning could lose and somebody you have losing could win. And it is what it is. And when it plays out, we always do videos after congratulating the winner. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. And I'm person enough to fucking say I was wrong. I'm a human just like everybody else. There's times that when I was not in predictions of where I needed to be, I wouldn't say anything, but I'd be like, what? I'm going to go to the gym and just work harder and I'm going to show these motherfuckers. That's my mindset. That's how I was. But other than that, I mean, I don't get into the comments with people because I understand now after going through it. It's one of those things you got to go through it. Like somebody could tell you how a breakup is and what to do and this and that, but you got to go through it yourself. So I just don't give them anything that they can argue with. You just don't respond to it. They could keep spamming you, but people will find a way to argue that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. But if you're willing to keep giving them, comments and feedback and just what your opinion is, they're going to keep finding ways to, keep getting on top of you and getting you to rage bait. They say shit on purpose to rage bait you, and you're the one. Being at the high point that we're in as far as running NPR and having 100,000 subscribers, you're going to have a lot of people that agree, but at the same time, a lot of people that disagree.
To add to that, I personally, I love it. I'm not gonna lie. I love it because I feel like it brings attention to the game as well. It brings, sometimes when you talk about A, people get offended because why you're talking about A because you hate B. No, I'm just talking about A. There's been a lot of people who say who tell me that I hate banks. I'm like, I don't hate banks. I don't hate banks. I would say what I have to say, but that does not mean that I hate banks. The fact that I said Ryan Ted was going to win and Banks was the defending champion does not mean I'm coming at Banks. Like I had to, and it's just to prove you wrong. Someone came from number 6 to number 1. Like that is what I meant. I'm not trying to say because I'm blocked by E Banks, I'm saying someone else is gonna. Why didn't I say Brandon or someone who's number 3 or 4 or 5? And I said, okay, number 6, I feel like number 6 is gonna win. He was sneak dissing. I'm like, no, I'm not sneak dissing. But I loved it. Like, bring on the hay, it's all part of the game. I like it when I know people want to, sometimes hold hands and we're all in this. No, I don't. That's boring. Like let's set some fire,
Go against
and,
the grain, yeah.
Yeah,
you got to do it every now and then. That's what gets
some
views.
Shit up,
Everybody hates drama,
exactly,
but they only hate the drama they're involved in. They want to watch everybody else's drama. That's reality TV and all of that.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of guys that are in the list, not specifically the Arnold, but a lot of predictions that I have done that I'm not fans of personally, but I have them where they are because I could take their personality out of it and put a physique where it should belong.
Unbiased.
That's all it is.
You know what I mean? Listen, I can explain every prediction I make, but real quick, Tricky, you said something where just because I say A doesn't mean I dislike B, right? And I think that is a perfectly worded thing because I think, for example, we put Aaron at first. That means we don't like Ali, right? That's what a lot of people's quick goes to. It wasn't easy, like Dre, what you said, right? Like I'm an athlete, I get it, and I think Drew can attest to this. And anybody who watches our platform and actually goes back to whether it's my personal videos or Men's Physique, or YouTube or Men's Physique Radio YouTube or Instagram, we never speak negative about anybody. Like even when we're giving critiques, it's not ripping somebody down. When and it's a little different because when you're sitting with your boys off camera and stuff, you might talk a little bit more, I don't say reckless, but straightforward rather than
delivery. We don't focus on the delivery. Knowing that hundreds of people, thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever it may be, focus on the delivery. And that's something that Ariel taught me. Instead of saying, I get it all the time, my back sucks, right? But it's nothing else that I have in my physique that made me a 2-time Olympian is ever recognized. It's always, well, he has a shitty back.
Yeah.
And if it was the other way around, I'll give somebody their props before I'll say, okay, he could improve his back a little bit.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So when you peel back all of the layers, we are literally just 4 people, 5, including Aaron, who truly just want to uplift the division. Everybody has a unique way of doing it. Everybody's different, right? Aaron might be a little straightforward, right? Tricky might not just give a shit and he says whatever is on his fucking mind, right? Whatever it is, the underlining goal is still the same, right? We want to continue to uplift the division, right? We want to bring more money to the division. We want to get more eyeballs on the division, whatever it is, continue to grow it. And I think if people can peel back that layer and understand that, I think it's a lot different and a lot easier to digest. But like Tricky said, it brings good ass entertainment. I couldn't.
Sir.
All right, before we get out of here, fellas, question we ask every single one of our guests. Dre, Tricky, where do you put your syrup? Is it in the pantry or it is in the fridge? And I'm feeling good about this one.
Oh man.
What's your syrup in the refrigerator?
Exactly. Tricky?
Me too.
Wait. Pantry?
No, in the fridge.
Okay, that was a shock. That was a shock.
He
I'm
ain't from the
redeemed.
United States, though.
I'm redeemed. Well,
He
yeah,
ain't from the
true.
United States, though. It's different.
It's different.
Yeah, well, I'm from the United States, and I put it in the fridge.
Tricky. Come on, man.
Damn.
You have to.
I did
you
not
have to put it in
expect
the
that. I was
fridge,
like,
bro.
Come on, man.
Damn.
But listen, guys, Tricky, I know it's late as hell. Guys, I want to take a quick second. Seriously, thank you guys for hopping on. You know, this is a podcast that I wanted to do for a long time. I absolutely love your channels. I think it brings tons of value. You know, Drew and I are always, and Aaron, we're always trying to throw different ideas out to continue to reinvest back in. It's not just getting different athletes on, but it's also, you know, getting people who just are fans of the sport, fans of the division, right? I don't care about the biggest athletes coming on. I just want good conversation and, you know, have podcasts like this, man. So I appreciate y'all, everybody, everyone tuning in. I appreciate it. Make sure mensphysiqueradio.com, go make your predictions. It'll be locked out 12 hours before the Arnold. And again, leaderboard winners, you guys will get a prize. Tricky, Dre, until next time, we appreciate y'all.